Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Refuge. Today I'm actually starting a video that is probably going to take a couple weeks to finish, but I asked Jess from Honest Fiction if she would like to collab with me on one of these like choose your TBR type videos. I have been wanting to do more collabs with friends, and so I do have a couple things in the works. Depending on the type of collab videos that you do, sometimes they can take a while to come out. But I've been loving being asked to be part of collabs, as well as I want to kind of plan some myself. And so for this one, I really loved a video that her and Crystal had done last month where they picked a couple books for each other. Now, it's been quite a few years, I think, since I've done one quite like this. I don't even know if I've done it where we both pick book for each other. I have, I used to have a TBR prompt where I let someone pick a book for me. And I mean, it's just hard. We all know, no matter how similar you think your taste is to someone else, when you ask them to pick books for you, it can be so surprising which ones they pick. There can be ones that make you nervous on there, or ones where you're like, I've been wanting to read this all this time. This is perfect. And this list from Jess had some of all of those. So we're going to go over the list of 8 choices she gave me, and then I'll tell you the 2 that I picked, which you probably already know from the thumbnail, but we'll go ahead and do that. And yeah, I'm very excited. One thing I do absolutely love is that Jess tries almost exclusively to listen to audiobooks. That's just what fits into her life best. So all of my options had audiobooks, which is great. I don't have to exclusively read audiobooks, but it definitely helps me fit it into my schedule if I have audiobooks. So these are the books that she gave me. And we'll talk about those, and then we'll talk about the ones I picked. So she gave me No Tomorrow by Carrie Ann Cole. This one is a book that I really have shied away from based on some of the trigger warnings for it. Yes, I'm not someone who always gets scared by those, and maybe someday I'll feel ready to do this one, but some of the mental health issues, and I know a very angsty relationship between the couple is something that has kind of kept me away, just because with angsty books and with hard topics like that, you just never know which way it's gonna go. So maybe someday I'll get to that one. And along that same lines of why I haven't read it is The Words by A. Jade. Number one, I know this one is massive, and I know so many people are just bawling when they get to the end of it, and it was this huge emotional ride. And part of it is that I've read about 5 Ashley Jade or A. Jade books in the past, and I think one of them was a 5-star, but all the rest just haven't been the best for me. And I usually give authors 3 chances, and then I kind of move on from them. So this is another one, not to say I would never read this book, but it's not one that's at the top of my choices. There was also Sweet Dandelion by, I believe, Michaela Smeltzer, and this one was definitely a real possibility. I know this one is a student teacher or principal and teacher. I didn't write it down, but I know that it's an age gap and there's a forbidden aspect to it. And so this one was definitely a possibility for me because it's one that I have put off reading. But I remember when this one was the Michaela Smeltzer that everyone freaked out about before her duet that really kind of divided people quite strongly. So that is one I might still get to someday. Then there was Once Upon a Broken Heart, and this one is a YA fantasy romance, and I know that there is currently 2. Maybe it's only a duet, maybe there'll be more, I don't know. But YA fantasy romance just isn't a place that I really go too much anymore, but I do see lots of fantastic fan art for these books, and fan art is something that can actually convince me to read something. So again, maybe something that I would listen to the audiobooks for someday. But now we get to the ones that I was pretty much immediate yes to them. And one of them is one that, I mean, it's a teensy bit of a cheat because it literally is on my TBR for May anyway. And my best friend, who is not a bookish creator but is a book lover, she was also going on and on about this book this book was already on my radar. Like I said, I already wanted to read it because it's an author that I've loved her mafia stuff. So there is The Coven by Harper L. Woods, and this is the beginning in a new series. I know this one is going to have a cliffhanger. This one is number 1 in the Coven of Bones. But I really was intrigued like by this cover, and this one had the audiobook put out almost immediately as well. And so this is what the back of this one says. We'll read this for you. It says, "Revenge. Raised to be my father's weapon against the coven that took away his sister and his birthright, I would do anything to protect my younger brother from suffering the same fate. My duty forces me to the secret town of Crystal Hollow, the prestigious Hollows Grove University, where the best and the brightest of my kind learn to practice their magic free from human judgment. There are no whispered words here, no condemnation for the blood that flows through my veins. The only animosity I face comes from the beautiful and infuriating headmaster, Alaric Grayson Thorne." That is quite a fantasy name right there. "A man who despises me just as much as I loathe him and everything he stands for. But that doesn't mean secrets don't threaten to tear the school in two. No one talks about the bloody massacre that forced it to close decades prior, only the opportunity it can afford to those fortunate enough to attend. Because for the first time in 50 years, the Coven will open its wards to the 13 promising students destined to change the world, if the ghosts of Hollows Grove's victims don't kill them first." So, dark academia, it seems, a witch's school, a forbidden romance between the headmaster and a student. All of these things excite me. So I have the audiobook for this, and it's a pretty short audio. This book is less than 300 pages, so definitely hoping to get to this one soon. This will probably be the first one that I read. And then the second one that she recommended was another one that I had actually seen her talking about quite a bit. So I was hopeful she would put this on her list actually. And she did for me. So the one she recommended, the final one she recommended was Court of Blood and Bindings by Lisette Marshall. Number 1, love someone with a last name Marshall, so that's exciting. And this is book 1 in the Fae Isles series. So this is what this one says. Here, it says, "They call him the Silent Death because he kills without sound and leaves none capable of speaking in his wake. When the Empire's deadliest Fae murderer catches her wielding forbidden magic, 20-year-old Emmeline believes her hour has come. Instead, her inhumanly beautiful captor spares her life, but carries her off on his velvet wings into the one place from which no human ever returns, the heart of the Fae Isles, the treacherous Crimson Court where the mother of Faekind has ruled unchallenged over Fae and humans for decades. The Silent Death is supposed to be the mother's loyal servant, her invisible warrior, her ruthless soulless killer, but in the shadows he is playing a game of his own, and he needs Emmeline's magic to win it. If she agrees to work with him, she could free all of humanity. But can she trust a Fae male with so much blood on his hands? Worse, when his smoldering dark eyes and dangerous secrets reveal glimpses of the heart behind his murderer's mask, can she trust herself? Court of Blood and Bindings is the first book in the series. Okay, so I don't know if each book has a different couple or if this one's going to continue, but I'm pretty sure that, yeah, the next book is out already. Maybe even the third one is out or is about to come out. So, oh, it looks like the next one's about the same couple too, but that's okay. So I also have the audio for this one. I snagged both of those. So I don't have a super strict timeline for this except for the date that we're posting it. But like I said, I was filming my other videos today, so I just wanted to start this clip because I will pop in with my thoughts on these books as I go. So we'll see ya later on. Hello. So just doing a quick check-in. I don't have a ton to say, but I didn't want to wait till I was like done with the book to film like an update here. So hold on, let me set my camera down. I could have done that before I started filming, but who likes to make things easy? Certainly not me. Also, we are now in summer, finally, praise the Lord. So that means the air conditioner will sometimes be on when I'm filming a clip, right? So, I started with The Coven and I am over halfway in, but I also will probably finish this tonight because I'm working on a new cross-stitch project, and with the audio at 2x speed, I only have like an hour and a half left of it already. It wasn't a super long audiobook to begin with. So yeah, what is happening so far? So I will say that so far, the thing I'm loving the most about this book is kind of the lore and the info about the witches that I'm getting and like how stuff is working. It doesn't mean that I know everything or all of the twists and turns that will happen, but there is some pretty creepy stuff in this one, and like I don't want to spoil anything for these books. Like this is going to be a mostly spoiler-free video until we get to the end of it, but definitely these bones on the cover mean something more to me than they did when I started, so there's that. But we have our heroine in here. Oh, of course it says raised to be my father. Willow, that's her name. And she has a plan kind of for revenge against some wrong that was done to witches in her family. And she also has a brother who she's trying to protect. And then we also have this undead demon slash he's kind of like a vampire who is the headmaster of this school. So we have kind of like this age gap forbiddenness going on, but also because of what he is and because of who she is, it definitely isn't as forbidden that there would be sexy things happening between them. It's being forbidden by one specific entity, but it's not like it's forbidden in the world. Like, I know that's difficult to explain, but like the witches who go to this school, it's kind of expected that there's going to be lots of sexy things happening. Let's just say that. Because of them wanting to breed them to create more witches and things like that. So it's not like sexy times are like forbidden here by any means. They're actually like encouraged quite a bit. So there's that. So yeah, I don't know. I know I'm not making a ton of sense. And there are some aspects of this that don't make a ton of sense, but I'm also very compelled by the creepier parts of this story. And this also is the case of like, there's a little bit of hidden agenda. Like, you think you're getting the better of me, but really you're playing right into my plan scenarios. And it's moving very quickly. Like I said, I've only listened to this in like 2 different sessions, and I'm already like this far in, and I'll probably finish it later tonight. So that's basically why I wanted to pop in with a quick little clip, just so that I didn't forget to have my reactions while I'm in the middle of it. As for like the sexual chemistry and the relationship aspects between Willow and Gray, I don't know if I completely buy it. A lot of it more has to do with the fact that like he wants her power and she needs his protection, and so he's able to coerce a lot of things from her. And I don't know how I'm like feeling about them yet. There definitely is some hot moments, but I don't know if I feel much besides their like raw animal sexuality. So I don't know where I'm sitting with it. I'm definitely not hating myself or hating my time with it, but I also am not like, these are characters I'm gonna remember, at least not as of yet. So yeah, that's where we're at with this, and I'll probably check back in when I'm finished with this one to let you know how we're doing with it. Hey guys, so it is Monday morning and I'm waiting outside of Caribou Coffee for my order to be done, and then I will go in and snag that. I just ran to the post office. I have a quarterly book box that I do for some of my patrons, and it has been so much fun putting those together, and so I just shipped off the first set of them, which was amazing. I loved doing that. I think I'm going to open a few more spots for the next quarter because I think I'll be able to handle it, so that's great. And yeah, they were just so much fun to put together, and yeah, it was such a great time. I loved it so much. So anyway, where am I at? So I finished The Coven last night right before I went to bed, and I'm a little conflicted on it because there, you know, like I said, there was a lot that I was very intrigued by, but I wasn't feeling the romance. And even so, like, there's a point where, like, our heroine is put in a really tough position, and the hero, who is supposed to be, you know, he's this soulless demon, like, he's literally a vessel for, like, a demon's soul or something, but yet they're soulless at the same time. Not quite sure how that makes sense, because there's a part in the end where it talks about how they need to get it, like, put back with its original body, and I'm like, but are they the vessel or are they the soul? Because it's like, put my soul, like, put me with my soul. I don't know. I don't fully understand all of that, and I think that is a bit of the issue. But anyway, there's this point where the hero is like, you love me. I know you do. And I'm like, how does she love you? She lusts for you, and part of that has to do with what she is and what you are, and the blood sharing that's happening. But where does a love come into it? Like, there's no love. Like, we should have used a different word. We should not have said, you love me. I was like, no. There's no love. There's no love on either side. There's lust, there's possession, there's you're mine, I want you to be mine going on. And there's also some things we find out where, like, the hero's been waiting for her, and I hate calling him hero, the male main character. Like, he's been waiting for her. He sees her as his, like, he wants her, all those things are there, but love does not exist in here. Lust is definitely there. And a lot of it is forced because of the blood sharing, she is compelled into her attraction for him for a lot of this. So when I look back over it, I'm like, there's a lot of this that is dubious consent, like, all the way through this story. There really is, because besides, like, thinking he's hot and sexy, once there's been blood sharing, he can compel all of her physical attraction for him. So it's very hard for me to see which things are compelled and which things are her creating any genuine affection for him at all. Yeah, and so then with the cliffhanger where we're left with this book, I was really pissed off, but I'm also very hopeful for what it means for the next book, because there's a significant change that is going to happen to the male main character. And I don't want to spoil what that is, because, well, I thought it was cool, I also was pissed off. Like, I felt both things. And that's why I'm conflicted about this book, because there were some surprises that I didn't see coming, and it's not because they were impossible to see. Like, there definitely were laid out that they would be there. But at the same time, it makes kind of everything that happened between these two characters in this book, like, it makes me put it into question, you know? So I don't know. I was really feeling a lot for Willow. I don't like that she's 17. I know for some people that's just straight up too much. There was talk about, like, her being able to delay going to this school, and I really wish that it had been delayed and she was just an older student than everyone else, even though everyone else too is having sex and being used for sex by these vessels anyway. So there's definitely a lot of that going on, and I just don't understand the point of her having to be 17. Like, they could have made it be that you're awakened at 18. People being awakened at 16, them being underage, like, what was the point? Like, I know you're trying to add a taboo level, but it's just ick. They don't need to be that age, because her being that age doesn't add any more to the taboo level than what's already taboo. That would be my point. It's just, like, there's already enough forbiddenness going on without her having to be underage and just making it kind of ick factor. So, yeah. So, I'm like, I have it listed as a 4, but I think it's a, like, because I don't quite think it's a 3, because I think a lot of my reactions to it are just, I'm pissy that there's, like, a cliffhanger where it was, and, like, this and that. Because I think a lot of it was well constructed. There's just some choices where I'm just like, this just isn't quite what I want. But I also want to read the next one to see where we're going with the male main character and the heroine. So, yeah, so I think it's like a 3.5, but I did round it up to a 4 on my Goodreads. So, I'm starting A Court of Blood and Bindings today. I don't know how far I'll get into it because I'm starting the audiobook, but I have some other, like, physical books that I need to get read first. But yeah, I mean, I was gonna read this book anyway, but I also can see why Jess liked it so much and why she would have like picked this one, because there definitely are some great reveals that I think really shock people and make this one very exciting. Hey guys, so I'm sitting at my sewing table about to work on a couple things, and I am listening to A Court of Blood and Bindings, so I thought I would give some initial like explanation / thoughts for this one. So this one starts out with our heroine, who seems kind of disgraced by from her family's point of view. I think it's all attributed to the fact that she has magic. And so we're kind of just thrown into this. It's the day of a festival. Her family is going to go to it, and she ends up staying back because she will be an embarrassment to her family if she's seen. And so she makes up an excuse to stay at home because she knows that's what they actually want her to do. So she's going to stay at home to do some chores, and she ends up accidentally ruining the shirt that she's wearing, or the tunic, like the front of this dress basically, and she decides she's going to use her magic to fix it. But she knows her parents will be really, really mad if she does that, so she needs to be secretive about it. But she ends up doing it, and when she looks up, there's this fae watching her. Now she very quickly is able to realize that this is someone called the Silent Death, and also is very quick to share that this should not be happening, that he should be there because the town is supposed to be protected from fae, but he was able to get inside. And so she ends up running to this festival, making a display of herself to tell her father that the fae are there. And they're like, no, 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 you're making it up, you're delusional, you're just trying to get attention, and they send her back home. And then she goes to sleep, and she wakes up to the town burning down, and her parents are gone. And all of their like most important things are gone. And so she runs outside, and the Silent Death is there, slowly burning all of the buildings. And he can't speak, but he has like, I think it said he had like a notebook with him, and he's like, they're gone. And he basically kidnaps her, but on his way, like when he's flying her where he's taking her, he flies over the ships, and he makes it known to her that her family isn't dead, her village isn't dead, they're escaping, they're getting away. But he's taking her. And so I'm only in the 3rd chapter, so this all happens really quick. We start really fast. So she gets taken to the court of the mother, which I'm assuming is like a fae queen or like the big bad like leader or something. I don't know a ton about her yet. But he brings her there, and he's going to take her before the mother, and he writes a note, and it says, don't let her know you have magic, she'll kill you. And that's all that he really says. And then he brings her before the mother, and the mother again, like he can't speak. Somehow he's able to communicate with the mother. Maybe there's a mind discussion with her somehow, that's what I assume. And the mother's like, oh, you amused him. Well, hopefully it won't go as badly as the last time someone amused him. So don't know fully what that means, but maybe he loved someone before and it didn't go well. Don't know, not sure. But after the mother kind of like sort of like approves her, or at least doesn't kill her, he takes her to his home. And that's literally as far as I am. We don't know any more about like why he took her, what's going on. But I'm intrigued by it, really. I'm very intrigued by it. It's moving really quickly so far. Yeah, but this one is a long audiobook. We got a long ways to go. So we'll see what's up next. So I'm going to try to get through a good chunk of this tonight. And like I said, I'm going to sew a couple of things. I have some book sleeves ready to sew. This one is a pretty little shell. This one is also shells. I guess I have 2 shell ones. This one is horsies, and this one is some bell. So these are just for my book boxes and patrons and stuff, and also just because I just like to sew when I'm listening. I also have a quilt project that I'm working on. My patrons know all about my crafting adventures and stuff like that I go on, but I find it very comforting to work on with my mini sewing machine that I literally got for $37, and I have made 50 plus book sleeves with it. I sewed an entire quilt. I've made keychains. I've made zippable projects. Like, this little sewing machine has worked hard, and when it eventually breaks, I just buy a new one for $37, and it's great. At some point, I may want to invest in like a mid-sized one, but honestly, I don't have a ton of room in my apartment. I don't have a space where I can have like a full like setup for it. So when I discovered these mini sewing machines that do what I need to do, they don't have any extra complications. They're literally just a bobbin and a place to put your thread, and like that's it. It's been a great investment. It's honestly been a great investment, and it's been so much fun. Like, I've been able to do a lot. So anyway, there's an update as well as kind of a side street about what I'm doing. So I will check in with you later when I have some more thoughts. Heyo! So it is just after 10, and I am now at, I don't know, 60% into this. Yeah, I have my Kindle holder there. I'm actually listening to it though, but I'm someone who I like to read books in multiple formats. I don't know about y'all, but when I have an audiobook, I also like to follow along. So that's what's happening. So yeah, it's been like, wow, I don't know, like 5 hours maybe, kind of, which is crazy since I checked in last. I got some of my sewing done. I'm almost done with my cross stitch project. I'll show you that. I just have to put, there's still a leaf that goes up top and then his little antenna, and then I'm all done with this little butterfly, which is great. Been working on that one for a couple weeks. It's really cute. So anyway, the book though, how the book's going. Sorry, I'm having to hold my phone because I didn't grab my stand, so let's put it there and try to hold still. Okay. So, where we're at now, we know a bit more why the hero has taken the heroine now, and it is because she has magic. And I don't want to like exactly spoil everything for why, but her being part fae and having been raised with humans is important. And so he takes her, right, I think I said in the last clip, she's supposed to pretend that he wants to be amused with her. So basically she's pretending to be his woman. And so whenever they're around other fae, she has to pretend like they've been having sex all the time and been together all the time. And that means that whenever she's not with him, there's people calling her a whore or a slut or like a betrayer to her people and just all these horrible things. It's not great. It's not fun. But in the meantime, she is helping him prepare to take on this evil queen. And he's helping her learn to control his magic. There's also some of her teaching him sign language. It's not called that in here, but that's what it is. And even some of the, you know, like the alphabet is the same, which is kind of cool. He tells her that his voice loss is only supposed to be temporary, but it's literally been like 150 years or so, and he hasn't. She's like, why haven't you tried to learn other ways to communicate? And he's just very like stubborn about it. So she really is kind of like opening that communication for him so they don't always have to like write back and forth and stuff like that. And I appreciate seeing that. I think that it's interesting. She also, you know, doesn't give him an easy time because of his, like, inability to speak, which I think is fair. Like, it's not like he's an invalid or he is incapable because of it. He's also kind of, like, chosen not to be able to communicate because it keeps him aloof in a certain aspect. So yeah, so we're at 60% in, and there still hasn't been any, like, real spice besides them, like, pretending at a couple different times, like, they're sleeping together. And I'm okay with that. I'm not saying it needs to happen. This is just a case of, like, if you see the title of this book, it says, hold on, let's just grab it right here. The title of this book says, A Court of Blood and Bindings, a steamy fae fantasy romance. So it's another case of, like, we must advertise the book as steamy or else no one will want to read it, because that's what you chose to put in, like, the title. And I don't blame authors for what they have to do, what they have to name their books to get it there, but this is just me just reviewing that to you. It's not affecting how I feel about the book. I like that this is a slow burn between them and they're working together to train and get better. Guys, I'm rolling my eyes to even say it. It is giving ACOTAR vibes, okay? It's giving some of the ACOMAF vibes for, like, the training and the notes being written back and forth. He's, like, teaching her. He's not teaching her to read for the first time, but, like, he is teaching her how to read, like, a different language. And there's her working on her magic and gaining control of it. The type of magic in here is really unique. It has to do with colors, and, like, what each color represents is, like, the kind of magic you're able to pull from it. So that's what was actually happening in the beginning, where I was a little confused about why she needed to use a certain colored cloth to be able to, like, fix the stain that she'd made. So that's very interesting. So yeah, and there has to do with, like, color mixings to get the certain kind of magic. So if you want to be able to, like, remake something, both use the magic to destroy something and to, like, heal and create something. So yeah, pretty unique type of magic thus far. So yeah, there's more that she's been able to glean about his history and the things that he was a part of, some of them which he was forced to do and some that he maybe did willingly, but he had a change of heart at some point, and he is looking for a way to take down I know I keep saying the evil queen. She's called the mother, but it's just easier for me to call her the evil queen. She has a different name. So yeah, I'm really enjoying this one. Again, like, it is a really long book. It's not, like, the page count isn't horribly long. It's like 440 pages. Like, the audiobook's pretty long. I have it on 1.9. But I have just under 3 hours to go, so I probably won't finish it tonight. I will probably listen for, like, another half hour or so, because I need to, like, take my makeup off, get ready for bed, and I'm going to finish that cross stitch tonight. So once I'm done with that, I'll probably pause it and then pick it back up tomorrow. But I should finish this tomorrow. In the morning, I'm actually going to go to the gym in the morning. I usually go in the afternoon, but my workout buddy can't join me, so I was like, sweet, I can't go in the morning, because I love my workout buddy. I've been going to the gym with her for, wow, 2 years now. Before that, I had a trainer for 2.5 years that I went with, which is crazy to me that I've been consistently going to the gym for 4 years now. Sorry, that was a sidetrack. But when I think of the years and the time that I've actually been doing that, that's amazing. So anyway, but I get to go in the morning then, which will be good, because it is also finally summer-ish time. And so going to the gym in the morning when it's still cooler, we like it. So, okay. So I will probably just check in at the end now to, like, wrap up and talk about the experience. But I wanted to pop in for, like, a midway check-in about how I was feeling before I'm just like, boom, I'm done, because I really was sucked into this. And yeah, I don't, like, fully know how I feel about it. We'll have to see where this book gets to and, like, where it ends. I do know that there is 3 of the books out and a 4th one coming out. You know, is it going to be the same couple the whole time? I kind of feel like it might be, just because of the slow pace of their relationship, but I don't know that. I haven't looked at all, and I don't plan to look until I'm like finished with this one. So anyway, that's where we're at, and I am very much enjoying this book. So we'll see what my final thoughts are at the end. Hey guys, so it is time to wrap up this vlog, because just the other day I finished A Court of Blood and Bindings, and then I needed to wait until I put my face on and thought about it a little bit. And I'm pretty sure I'm like wearing the same shirt as in the last clip, but it's literally been like 3 days since I finished that. So it's been washed and we're all good. Not that people care. Sometimes it's like when you don't sweat in your clothes, why would you wash them and like waste the energy for it, right? You know? Anyway, let's wrap this up. So I finished A Court of Blood and Bindings, and honestly, I had a really good time with this book. I certainly did. I don't want to spoil anything for this book, because I feel like it's one that some of the reveals are really well placed and really well done. I think I checked in when I was at 60-some%. Is that what I did? And I also remember saying something about like, this is listed as a steamy fantasy romance. And I don't really think that it should have been. This is like a 2 on my spice scale. That is not to degrade it by any means, because I believe that at least the next book is about the same couple. Maybe even like 3 in this one are about the same couple. I'm not sure. I haven't peeked ahead. Obviously, I know the next one's going to still follow Corvin, I think is his name. Corvin and Evelyn. Is her name Evelyn? I'm not sure. I'm sorry. I literally read another book with an Evelyn in it just yesterday, so now I'm like, Evelyn, what it? Anyway, I really liked the heroine. She was not perfect. She was feisty. She was stubborn. She has a lot of those attributes that I feel like get sprinkled into a package to make a heroine. But I also liked that she didn't just immediately fall for this guy, and she definitely asked a lot of questions. And yeah, she demanded answers, and it certainly took a long time to get some of those answers, but I appreciated that she didn't just like give in to what was going on. But he was also offering her, you know, training and teaching to use this magic she has, and that's something she can't really turn down, right? So yeah, there was also a few fun little aspects that I enjoyed, that I understand why a lot of people will compare this with ACOTAR, because everything gets compared to ACOTAR. Okay, I get it. If there's fate in it, there is. If there's a broody man who is immorally gray to begin with, and then we discover they have a heart of gold, they're going to compare him to Rhysand. That's just what's going to happen. And this guy even has wings too. So of course it's going to happen. But one thing I wanted to put out, and I said this to Jess when I was messaging her about it, is that fae with wings, they existed before SJM. And while there are parts of this that, yes, I'm like, oh, this reminds me of it. To me, it reminded me of it fondly. It wasn't like, oh, well, SJM did this better. Oh, you're just copying this. Your mileage is going to vary for some people. I'm not someone who goes in thinking that, unless there's like literal beat for beat scenes that directly hit it. A few of the things that had parallels to me, or could have even been inspired by, we do not know, is because this hero is muted we find out why he can't speak at a certain point, but because he is speechless, they use notes to communicate for quite a bit of the book before a version of sign language gets introduced. And I really liked that, and that did make me fondly remember, you know, Akamath but in that case, like, Rhys is teaching her to read, and, you know, he's leaving all of these crazy notes. But in this one, they're using it to communicate. Although there is kind of a mutual teaching going on, because she ends up teaching him some sign language, and he is teaching her to read a fae language because they need it so that they can do research. So there is some aspects of that. That's cute, but those are such, like, that's a minor thing. Something else I really liked is there is an entity or a being that should seem to be inanimate, that is able to communicate with our heroine using a different form of communication. I don't know how to explain this, but think A Court of Silver Flames and the way that a certain place speaks to Nesta. And that really made me smile. It's a completely different thing. It's a completely different situation. But it is actually kind of like heavy to the plot because there is this place that's called the Labyrinth that these two need to explore to discover some secrets about possibly how to defeat said like evil queen in this. So that's enough dancing around the answers for this. Like, point being, I ended up giving A Court of Blood and Bindings 4 stars, and I have downloaded the next book. I definitely want to continue, and I can't wait to read more. I know Jess hasn't read more yet either because she's waiting for the audiobook. I don't know if I will wait for the audiobook. I might even try to read it in June. So yeah, it wasn't perfect. It wasn't like, oh my God, it has to be a 5-star. It was there, but I definitely appreciated it a lot. And I'm really glad that she picked this one for me because, as with a lot of us, I think there's a certain level of fatigue with the books that are called A Court of Blah and Blah, or a, you know, a blank and a blank and a, you know, like, I know it's the trope, it's how we say fantasy. Some of my favorites, like Between Wrath and Mercy, you know, it has that kind of cadence to how it's titled, but that's just a thing, honestly, to help authors get read. And this one, like A Court of Blood and Bindings, those mean things to the story. They're not completely meaningless. And yeah, like I said, I enjoyed the magic. I want to know even more about how it works. Again, like, our heroine is learning things. She is not all of a sudden the most powerful one around. She may have potential to be, or she may just be the only one who can do it because of reasons. So will she be powerful enough to do what we need? Who knows? So yeah, I appreciate a lot about it. I'm going to continue. One of the things that I thought of then, you know, because I gave this one 4 stars and I had such a better reading experience with that one. I don't know if like a 3 or a 3.5 is really how I feel about this one. It might be more of a 2.5 to a 3. But again, the way that Harper L. Woods ended this one, I need to know what happens next, but I'm pissed about it. Okay? Like, I'm pissed that this is all we got, that this is what we were at, that so many of the sexual situations are all coerced, and not in the same kind of coercion that I'm like cool with, you know, I don't know. So yeah, so this is a series I'm continuing, but it's one of those where it's like I'm reluctantly continuing it. So there we go. But anyway, this has been my vlog collab with Honest Fiction. Jess, thank you so much for being willing to do this with me. It was so fun. I can't wait to watch her video. If she's given me the link for it, I already have it linked, or I'll add it later on. She ended up reading 3 books that I really, really love, so I'll tell you which ones they were to give you a tease. She read Ensnared, Last Light, and Soul Eater, which Soul Eater was kind of like a bonus book too. So I was really happy. She picked 3 of mine. So I really, really want you to go support Jess. Go follow her. She's fantastic. She's so fun. So please go give her some love after watching this. And yeah, I hope to do more of these. These are tough. Like, this is a video we were working on kind of for the whole month up to this point, because fitting books in at different times when they're for a vlog is difficult for me. It's why I don't quite do dedicated vlogs this way. But I wanted to collab with someone, and I really wanted to do it with Jess because I just found her to be so sweet. So yeah, thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you are new to my channel from Jess, thank you for checking it out. I hope you'll like to stick around. I put up 3 to 4 videos every week with oddly specific recommendations. I do taboo book recommendations. I really try to go for it with a lot. So definitely subscribe and stick around maybe. Thank you so much for watching, friends, and I'll see you in the next video.